So we kick off with a good old leg stabbing as Jim makes a break for it, but that clinches it for Silver, who says that they could finally have that mutiny they've been all looking forward to. They even fly the pirate flag, just to make clear what's going down. Rather surprised they went to that much trouble. "What's this doing there, Mr. Silver?" "Oh, that's the blanket me dear old Mum made me, with a pirate symbol on it. Mum was such a romantic at heart." Captain Amelia gets the map out.
Mr. Hawkins, defend this with your life.
That sounds a bit excessive. What good is a planet full of treasure if you're not alive to spend it? "We can't let it fall into their hands, otherwise those pirates will become rich and wasted on booze and women. I'd rather die than see that happen." They escape down to the skiffs, only for Morph to playfully swipe the map, leaving Jim and Silver to try to lure the little shit over to their side. In the end, Morph just hides in a barrel. Jack gets it first, and Silver can't bring himself to shoot the kid. See? Whatever fusion of scarred meat and recycled pump mechanisms are within his chest, he nevertheless still has a heart. The trio make their escape in a skiff, but one of the idiots tries shooting them, which Silver notes would destroy the map in the process. Yeah, this is Treasure Planet, but there's probably not going to be a giant flashing arrow pointing to where the loot is. Not unless Treasure Planet is like Atlantic City or something. They land, but Captain Amelia is wounded, and what's more, the map Jack swiped wasn't the map. It was actually Morph just screwing around. It's still back up on the ship. Of course, Silver and his crew don't know that, so they'll be hunting for our trio to try to take it, and they will not take "I don't actually have it" for an answer. Captain Amelia tells Jim to go scouting around, find a place for them to shelter, where he comes across something even worse than the pirates.
Oh, this is fantastic! A carbon-based life form come to rescue me at last! I just want to hug you and squeeze you and hold you close.
The comic relief. See, the position of comic relief has already been filled, so just go away. This is Ben. It's an acronym. His name, I mean. Ben himself is a pain in the ass. But he is a pain in the ass who knew Captain Flint, the legendary pirate, who put the treasure here in the first place. The part of his brain that stores his memory has been removed, leaving only the part of his mind that knows how to be a jackass. However, he lays a guilt trip on Jim that convinces him to take the robot with him, which does work out because the robot has built himself a shelter so they can bring Captain Amelia there to recover, away from any potential danger.
There's some more of your buddies! Hey, fellas! We're over here, fellas!
Although Ben's every action carries potential danger. Silver tells the pirates to knock that shit off so they can parlay, and Silver takes the time to insist to Jim anything he heard related to the kid was just crap to keep the crew from thinking that he would side against them in the mutiny. And it's not an invalid point. Silver has been the mitigating force in this so far. He's stopping the bloodthirsty, short-sighted animals from giving into their base instincts. He may be betraying Jim and the others, and I don't want to diminish that, but he's not doing it to their deaths. That is, unless his hand is forced.
Listen to me. If we play our cards right, we can both walk away from this rich as kings.
Because really, how much treasure do you actually need? If this is the loot of 1,000 worlds, I dare say there would probably be enough for each person present to take a wheelbarrow full and not even make a dent. Matter of fact, I decided to check that. If you loaded a wheelbarrow full of gold coins, you couldn't move it because it would weigh over a ton and it'd be worth about 50 million bucks. I don't know about you, but if someone told me I had to settle for only 50 million bucks, I think I could find a way to live with that hard bargain. However, Jim is still hurt by what he'd overheard, and his experience has taught him not to put his faith in father figures. So he throws everything back in Silver's face. So this whole thing ends with an ultimatum. The map or the ship's cannons are going to level this place and all the Keebler elves that live within. Captain Amelia is looking bad, too.
Gotta help her.
Dang it, Jim, I'm an astronomer, not a doctor. I mean, I am a doctor, but I'm not that kind of doctor. I have a doctorate. It's not the same thing. You can't help people with a doctorate. You just sit there and you're useless.
So he's not going to be much help. Shockingly, Ben is, as he has access to the miles and miles of tunnels and stuff that are all over the planet. With that, they can swipe the pirate's skiff to get back to the ship, disable the cannons, and retrieve the map. Only Ben insists on inflicting his help on Jim, and the big spider guy is on board with nothing stopping him from killing Jim this time. But one thing Ben does right is reverses the gravity. I say reverses because they're not just floating, but they seem to be pulled upwards. Attempts to pull down are like you are fighting gravity, in fact. Well, with that, Jim is able to play matador to the bad guy and get him to go right into the pirate flag and send him tumbling out into space. Sucks to be him. Well, all that did was bring the map right into Silver's hands. But only Jim knows how to open it. So that means Jim gets to come along on this excursion, except it leads straight to a cliff. Not a guy named Cliff, an actual cliff, as in nowhere to go but down. Well, these pirates have been edging for this treasure for too long to just settle for rolling over and going to sleep. So with his life on the line, Jim spots an opening to plug the map into, which opens a triangular door to the Lagoon Nebula, which is halfway across the galaxy. This was the way that Captain Flint was able to arrive and vanish from nowhere. He was playing with portals. Jim figures out that if you tap a location, that's where the door opens. So he taps Treasure Planet itself, opening the way to either the treasure or Smog, not sure which. Yes, seems Captain Flint operated on dragon principles and gathered all the loot in one place for no other purpose than to sit on it. In fact, they find his skeleton sitting on a golden throne still, on his old ship, along with the missing pieces of Ben's brain, which has all the memories, including the fact that when Silver walked in, he set off a booby trap, so that all the treasure would stay in this one room after he was gone. Like he was some kind of bizarre self-made pharaoh or something. Well, when the booby trap activates, some of the pirates flee, others fall into the fiery core, but Jim is working on Flint's old ship, and Silver sees him. While that's going on, Delbert has slipped the ropes, and it's time to do something clever.
Excuse me, brutish pirate?
In your own time, Delbert. While he deals with the pirates, Jim is making clear that Silver is not welcome on this boat, but the laser's kind of a problem. Jim winds up getting knocked overboard, and Silver shows his true colors as he has to choose between a ship filled with treasure or saving Jim's life. And he chooses Jim.
Silver, you gave up?
It's a lifelong obsession, Jim. I'll get over it.
I mean, when you get down to it, for a double amputee, I've done pretty well in life. They make it to the ship, but the planet itself is exploding. Wow, that sure outdoes what One-Eyed Willie pulled. The ship gets damaged, though, and won't get away in time, but Jim has an idea. Change the portal destination, and they can escape that way. But it'll require a jerry-rigged rocket board to get there, and Jim might just get pulled over by the cops first. Man, that is me in so many video games. He manages to get the engine started to lead them back to the spaceport where they started, saving the day. And during the celebration of their escape and survival, Silver slips downstairs so that he can take off in a skiff, before he gets handed over to the Popo. Jim catches him, but in the end, helps him to slip away anyway. Though he does turn down the chance to go with him so he can chart his own way. Oh, and Silver tosses a few bits that he swiped from the gold apocalypse. Rebuild that inn that he burned down. It's only right. Replace your divot. So yes, the inn is rebuilt. Captain Amelia and Delbert hook up. Jim goes off to the academy and becomes respectable. The end. So here we are at the end, and I stand by my earlier point. The standout aspect of this movie is not in the technical achievements of its animation, its degree of spectacle, its adventure, no. Their backdrop. The thing that carries this movie is the relationship between Jim and Silver. It turns what is, frankly, a fairly straightforward adventure tale into something with real heart to it. because it doesn't just explore how each finds a way to fill something missing in the other, but to then see what happens when such characters are pitted against each other. We want Jim to side with Silver when he offers to split the treasure, but we also understand how he can feel as hurt and betrayed as the day that his father left him. I'll say it again, stories are about people, and putting the focus on these two people was the best decision they made. I'll also say again what hurt Treasure Planet is it came too late. It didn't need its technological advancements to have its heart. And with that, and some of the earlier spirit that carried Disney through the prior decade, this movie would have done a lot better. And I think it probably would have been a little better too. It is a very sad irony that the tale of how Treasure Planet was made so parallels that of Silver, that an obsession to achieve something and think you have it, only to have it slip through your fingers, was what this ultimately was for the creators who worked so hard to see this movie made. And still, one bright spot, no one is going to make a live-action version of it and then thank pirates for their cooperation in the making of the film, so that's something. But that draws it to a close, and it looks like I don't have a chance now to come up with another wrong Disney song for this movie, because I can't think of any possible Disney song that could apply to this.
Well, since the captain has put you in my charge, like it or not, I'll be pounding a few skills into that thick head of yours to keep you out of trouble.
You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old past said. Boy, you got a friend in me. Yeah, you got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got trouble, and I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We stick together, see it through, 'cause you got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. Now, some other folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, big and stronger too, maybe, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's me and you, boy, and as the years go by, a friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me.